One. Good afternoon and welcome to the Monday, April 8th, 2024 open session meeting for Kent County Public Schools Board of Education. I'd like to officially call this meeting open and to order at 5:30 p.m. The first item on the agenda for this evening is to approve the agenda. Administration is recommending the approval of this agenda. Do we have a motion to do so?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Ms. Sullivan has the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second by Ms. Dorsey. Any further comments or questions? Hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion passes. The agenda is approved for this evening. The next item on the agenda is to move into closed session. The Kent County Public Schools Board of Education members, this board, Dr. Karen Couch, the superintendent, Dan Hushin, supervisor of human resources, Adam Constance, legal counsel, Gail Manley, executive assistant to the superintendent, and I believe Wendy Keene, director of special education.
When we call her in.
When we call her in, we'll move to closed session under general provisions, Article 3-305B. The first section is 3-305B1. The topic is to discuss applicants for new hires, resignations, volunteers, transfers, extra pay, extra duty, and any other personnel matter. The reason for closed session discussion of topic is that public discussion of applicants and employee names and personal information could discourage people from working for the board and contain sensitive, personal, and biographical information. Personnel information is protected from disclosure under the NPIA. The next section is 3-305B7. The topic and the reason is to consult with legal counsel to obtain legal advice regarding recent Supreme Court decision in Lindkey versus Freed. And the reason for this closed session discussion of topic is substance of discussion is protected by attorney-client privilege. The next section is 3-305B8. The reason to have this discussion in closed session is to consult with legal counsel and or consultants to obtain updates and advice regarding pending or potential litigation, certification, and special education matters pending before the Office of Administrative Hearings. The reason for this closed session discussion to be in closed session is that substance of discussion is protected by attorney-client privilege. And the last section is 3-305B9. The topic of discussion is discussion of ongoing negotiations with KCPS bargaining units. And the reason why we're having this in closed session and discussing it there is to maintain the integrity of the collective bargaining process. With that being said, the administration is recommending approval to move to closed session to discuss personnel items to be voted on during open session and any other personnel matters. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ms. Sullivan has the motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll be the second.
Ms. Dorsey has the second. Do we have any other further comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes as presented. Thank you so much. The official time is 5:33 p.m. and we will be back in this boardroom to open session approximately 6:30 p.m. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to reopen the open session for the Monday, April 8th, 2024, open session meeting for Kent County Public Schools. The time is 6:33 p.m. The first item on the agenda coming out of closed session is to report on closed session. The Kent County Public Schools Board of Education members, this board, Dr. Karen Couch, the superintendent, Dan Hushin, supervisor of human resources, Adam Costas, legal counsel, Gail Manley, executive assistant to the superintendent, and Dr. Wendy Keene, director, special ed, director?
Supervisor.
Supervisor, thank you, for special ed. We're in closed session. We met in closed session under General Provisions, Article 3-305B, and the sections were as follows. 3-305B1, the topic was applicants for new hires, resignations, volunteers, transfers, extra pay, extra duty, and any other personnel matters. The reason for conducting these discussions in closed session, public discussion of applicants and employee names and personal information could discourage people from working for the board and contain sensitive personal and biographical information. Personnel information is protected from disclosure under the MPIA. Section 3-305B7, the topic was consulting with legal counsel to obtain legal advice regarding recent Supreme Court decision in Linkey versus Freed. We had these discussions in closed session because the substance of discussion is protected by attorney-client privilege. The next section was 3-305B8. The topic was to consult with legal counsel and/or consultants to obtain updates and advice regarding pending or potential litigation, certification, and special education matters pending before the Office of Administrative Hearings. The reason for closed session, the substance of discussion is protected by attorney-client privilege. And the last section was 3-305B9. The topic was discussion of ongoing negotiations with KCPS bargaining units. The reason for closed session discussion of this topic was to maintain the integrity of the collective bargaining process. This session was for information and discussion purposes only. No action was taken. Personnel actions will be voted upon by this board in Section 4, which is the consent agenda this evening. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Messick, if you could.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is consent agenda. The board will be voting for the consent agenda. When the student board member, Ms. Messick, votes as well, she will be voting for the approval of the minutes for March 11th, 2024, which was our open session meeting. With that being said, I am looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Ms. McGee has the motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Sullivan has the second. Are there any further comments or questions? Not hearing any, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ms. Messick?
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion passes, the consent agenda is approved. The next item on the agenda is public participation. Ms. Manley, do we have any? We do, okay. So what I'd like to do while Ms. Gail Manley is walking this up, just the public participation rules for engagement. Kent County Board of Education speakers should limit their comments to 3 minutes. Comments about the actions or statements of individual staff members are not appropriate for public comments and should be referred to the superintendent of schools or process through available channels. If submitting written testimony, speakers are requested to provide a copy to the president. Please remember that this is an opportunity for the community to address their comments to the board. It is not an opportunity for dialogue. If you have questions that need an answer, please contact the superintendent or write a letter to the Board of Education and a response will be sent back to you. This will be a 3-minute section. At 30 seconds, I will advise that there are 30 seconds left, and at that time, at 3 minutes, the alarm will go off and we will proceed. The first person, the only person so far that's scheduled to speak or would like to is Mr. Dan DeVillio, Kent County Public Schools.
All right. Good evening, Dr. Couch, President Getz, and board members. I just wanted to take less than 3 minutes to speak a little bit about a career and retirement celebration for Dr. Couch we're holding next month. Community members, colleagues, family, and friends are all invited to the special celebration dinner for Dr. Couch. from 6 to 8 p.m. Thursday, May 9th at the Chester River Yacht and Country Club in Chestertown. This special event will also help raise money for the Kent County Public Schools Education Foundation Fund, which helps cover the costs of field trips, provides many grants for teachers, and is working toward updating the planetarium at the high school. Tickets are $65 and may be purchased through the Kent County Public Schools website. And I want to thank everyone who's been helping organize Dr. Couch's retirement party, including some special recognition for Chester River Yacht and Country Club, which has been, their team has been great to work with, and Midshore Community Foundation. If you are unable to attend the party, please consider showing your appreciation for Dr. Couch by making a contribution to the Kent County Public Schools Education Foundation Fund, which you can do through the KCPS website. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move into section 6 of the evening, 6A, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Couch.
Okay. I have quite a few little short things, so I'll just try to keep it concise. I just wanted to note that Dr. Vienna Walker has been nominated as the Volunteer of the Year for the Kent County Cares Foundation. This is each year the United Way of Kent County nominates one person to be recognized for their outstanding work in the community, and Dr. Walker was chosen for this award. I was in attendance for the Minority Scholars induction ceremony, and I just wanted to congratulate all of the students that were recognized that evening and inducted into the Minority Scholars. That was really it's always a nice event because they just, they're just so proud, and it is a very spectacular moment for our students. I also wanted to note that we received word about our graduation rate. The information was embargoed for a while, so I couldn't really share that information. But Kent County High School went up from 92.65% to 94.24%, which made us come up in ranking. We were ranked number 10 for 2022, and now we're ranked number 5 in the state of Maryland. We also received the winter scores for the high school government and high school MISA. MISA is an acronym for Maryland Integrated Science Assessment. Government, we increased by 5%. The number of students that were proficient went from 54% to 59%. And we did increase 5%, but that is also 27 points above the state average. MISA, on the other hand, is the Integrated Science Assessment. We went up from 13% to 48%, an increase of 35%, and that is 10 points above the state average. Now, I do need to caution you about overly celebrating at this point because this is just first semester testing. So we still have to test second semester. And I know with the students that are taking the MISA this year, these are our STEM kids. So you would expect them to score very high. And so I don't want us to just go overly excited about saying, oh yeah, we're going to go to the bank on this. But obviously it's a significant increase, and I do want to congratulate Ms. Hemstetter and her staff for doing an amazing job. So again, this is all good news for our school system. We submitted our updated blueprint implementation plan, received notification that our plan was accepted by the AIB, so we met that first cut, and it's already posted on their website. Special thanks to Mr. Porter, Tom Porter, for working so diligently to get this done in a timely manner. It is not easy to get this done, and there are a lot of moving parts to it. I was notified last week by the delegation, our legislative delegation, that, as you all recall, I had in place 2 pieces of legislation. One to get monies for the tennis court, and one to increase the state percentage for the new construction for Kent County Middle School. Kent County Middle School, the bill that we had in place for Kent County Middle School to increase the state participation did not make it out of committee. But we are planning to meet, the delegation wants to meet about this so that we can get our ducks in a row and hit it again next year. Most of the time, as I stated, it takes about 2 years to get legislation through. Took us 2 years to get monies for to replace the track at the high school. And I'm going to announce that we did get monies for the tennis courts. This is our second year for asking for the monies for the tennis courts. I'll let you know about that in a minute. But this was our first year for asking for the legislation for Kent County Middle School. So although I had high hopes, I still think that we can get it done, and we just have to focus and make sure that we have a lot of everybody on the same page, and we can move through it effectively during the interim. But this is what we got for the tennis courts. We got a total of $306,000 from the House and the Senate. We got $206,000 from the House and $100,000 from the Senate, and we have approximately $155,000 in aging schools. So we have enough money to do what we need to do to replace both sets of tennis courts at the high school. So I'm really proud of that. I think that that is going to be a positive aspect for the high school. As many of you know, those tennis courts are in deplorable condition, and it will be a huge shot in the arm for the tennis program and for the coaches out there. So I'm really excited about that.
Can I ask when would that work be done, during the off-season?
Yeah, we would probably try to get it done over the summer.
Can I ask you?
Let me just ask,
Okay.
let me just add this. We'll have to put it out to bid, because right now we just have quotes. So this is a dollar amount in which we would have to write the specs, and we'd have to put it out to bid. And so you would approve that, and then we would move forward.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to the middle school thing, and I just wondered, do we stay the course? I mean, we sort of had our timetable of what's the next thing, architectural design or something?
We'll talk about that during the budget.
Okay, good, thanks.
I also wanted to note that our students at the high school competed in the Salisbury University Eastern Shore High School Programming Competition, and we took third place. It was a tie. The Kent County High School team, the coach was Mr. Bill Poor, and the 3 students that participated on the team were Ben Lawler, Ben Hinton, and Lyndon Saunders. So they did very well, and keep in mind, we're a very small school. We were probably the smallest school that was competing, and so for our students, they were disappointed because they wanted first, of course, but tie for third was wonderful. Wanted to let you know that we've been given our date for budget presentation for the county commissioners. The date that we were given is April the 30th. I don't know the time yet, but I just want you to note that on your calendar, that that is when I will be presenting the school system's budget to the county commissioners. The Employee of the Year Awards is Wednesday of this week at 5:30. So I'm assuming that everyone will be there, and we'll have an opportunity to celebrate the accomplishments of all of our employees of the year, and then, of course, we will select the one support employee of the year, the teacher of the year, and the promising educator of the year. I attended the Alice in Wonderland production at the middle school on Friday, and all I can say is wow. It was wonderful. I know I saw Mr. Getz and the Sullivan there, and I've got to say, it wasn't a short production, it was 2 hours plus. And the students did an amazing job, and of course, under the direction of their teacher, Ms. Wright, Caitlin Wright. And so she's also representing Kent County Middle School as their Teacher of the Year. But she does an amazing job. She's not a drama teacher. She does that just because of her love for the students, and it was such a wonderful production. And then last thing, I just want to recognize our own Maddie Madison, because she got a full ride at the University of Maryland, And so I'm so proud of her. It's just watching her blossom and do all these amazing things. And so I just wanted to note that I'm so proud of you.
I appreciate it.
So that's the end of that. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Couch. We'll move into the Kent County High School roof project final presentation.
Ta-da! So while they're coming up, we thought it would be important, you know, the roof project is complete, but to their tribute and to the Development Facilitators Incorporated, DFI, they really wanted to come forward and share a final overview of the project.
Great.
And I think it's wonderful for you to take the time to do that because this was an important project for Kent County.
Well, good evening, and thank you for having us.
Good evening.
We do appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. I'm going to see if I can... All right, so my name is Nicole Pinnock. I was the Assistant Project Manager for the roof replacement at the Kent County High School. I'll introduce you to the project team. We had Randall Daughtery, who was the Senior Project Manager, and then Chris Wisman here was our Inspection Coordinator, as well as the drone pilot for all of the drone and thermal imaging that you'll see throughout the presentation. I'll take a moment to talk about a few project management successes that we saw working with the Kent County High School roof replacement. So it's really exciting whenever I can say this. So we actually were able to help the school finish the project ahead of the original schedule and the initial construction budget. I want to note that industry standard of change orders, we see about a 10% of the total contract value. We kept this with close project management to within 3% of the total contract value. So we really are proud of that. We assisted and supported Kent County school staff in the refunding that they needed from the state of Maryland, which we were able to obtain. And again, we worked closely with the board, Kent County School. The high school staff was amazing. We really appreciated the partnership and the teamwork that went into this project to make a successful roof project for you. I'm going to turn it over to Randall. He'll give a few highlights.
Good afternoon. My name is Randall Daugherty. I was the Senior Project Manager for this roofing project. Throughout this course of this project, this was started at the end of COVID. So with the way the funding was allowed, we were allowed to store and pre-purchase materials such as the roofing insulation and store it on site, so there was no hindrance over the course for any issues regarding any materials, supply chains, any of that. As Nicole touched base, the change order management was roughly 3.7%, which is well below the industry standards. Throughout the course of this project, we did use different technologies to track and maintain and make sure that the roof that was being installed was current to the actual project and the industry standards, and using the IR and the infrared, which Chris will touch base on in a little bit, allowed us to see and double check and monitor the complete progress to install a extremely well roofing project. Throughout the project, in the beginning, we had a little response from the weather with Hurricane Ian. And with coordination and the fast response throughout the contractor, the school received, this says minimal damage, but there was actually no damage other than a few stained ceiling tiles throughout. Risk mitigation was a major concern with this, as the work was done while the students were on campus, not just throughout the summer. And I do not believe we had any issues whatsoever with coordination of staff, facilities. Throughout this project, we did notice some impacts to the building that, due to age, such as the picture you see here was the wall above the auditorium where the brick needed repointed. So in lieu of repointing all the brick on that entire facade, the decision was made to make minor repairs, completely encase in a waterproof membrane, and then we installed metal wall panels that matched the other side of the school, which allowed for a much more aesthetically pleasing appearance at the school. The school was originally slated for a tan roof, and we went through and did some value engineering and looked at some things, and we decided to go with a white stone roof. That allows for a better environmental impact and allows less heat radiation into the building, which in turn allows your HVAC systems to run at a more operable temperature. And throughout this project, because we were able to maintain it at such a lower cost savings, we've continued to provide support and will continue to provide support throughout the full project warranty. I'm going to turn it over now to Chris Wiseman for some of our technological stuff.
All right, so, we pride ourselves on being able to leverage technology. So what I do, I'm a drone pilot, and we were able to use our drones to capture project milestones, which we think is important. It's key for providing a historic record, and in that we like to be able to turn that over to you guys and give you access to, all our photos, things that you can use for media outreach, public outreach, I should say, and just overall community involvement. So that was a big part. Our IR technology, we were able to use it, find some potential different deficiencies. We found roof leaks, so we were able to mitigate that, go back, fix that quick. And our infrared, just overall anomalies such as heat transfer or potential leaks that may have gone otherwise unseen to the naked eye, we were able to track that and mitigate that from an early standpoint. So real quick, and I'm going to turn it back to Nicole just to kind of wrap it up for you guys.
Thank you. All right, so as I kind of started with, we are extremely proud of this project. We love that we can say that we had a great team with Kent County School, the DFI team that you saw before you, that we went ahead and submitted this for the local Baltimore CMAA Project Achievement Award. Award will be it's Project of the Year, I believe it's June 6th. I think Ray's going to get some more information to the board on that.
Wow.
Anticipating that we win that award, we would be submitting it for the National CMAA Project of the Year Award, which we are extremely excited about. Every project we work on doesn't go this well, and we just really appreciate your guys' partnership on this, and hope that we can bring an award home for you. All right, so looking toward the future, talk a little bit about being under budget in the beginning, but our cost to the contract was about 1%. So I think what we provided, the record, the life cycle, the value engineering, that's a pretty good return on your investment. To have somebody hands-on within the day-to-day while your staff is still able to do their normal duties and not have to pay attention to such a big project. So we did, I believe that we've offered our services at a pretty low cost, and as it says, high return on your investment. Project record, as Chris mentioned, has been turned over. Drone photos, anything throughout the warranty and beyond. We have a great working relationship with Kent County High School and with Kent County Schools, that if you ever need anything in a couple of years, hey, we can't find this picture, reach out, and I'm sure DFI, whoever you can get a hold of, would love to help you out. We also just want to note that we look forward and welcome any opportunity to work with Kent County Public Schools in the future. And we really enjoyed our time with you guys. And I'm going to say, I will say we are construction people. We are not presenters, so please bear with us. But we'll open it up for questions. So if there's anything that we didn't touch on that you'd like to hear more about, we can answer directly.
I would just like to thank you for your responsiveness. That really meant a lot to us, because, there are going to be issues along the way throughout construction, and you all were very responsive and took care of things right away. So it was a pleasant experience on our side, too.
Thank you.
And please come back when you get the CMAA award.
Yeah.
We'd love to.
Are there any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Please.
How long does the warranty go on this roof? If we have a problem in 10 or 15 years, do you guys come back and fix it?
So as far as our contract is, no, we don't come back and fix it. That'll be for the general contractor to do. And it's roughly a 30-year warranty you have on this roof. And that was done with Garland, which is the roofing manufacturer.
Okay.
So your situation's a little bit different than just bringing somebody off the street and trying to get them to verify and maintain a warranty. Through Garland, if the general contractor doesn't do it, you can call the manufacturer directly, and they're going to take over from there. But of course, if Cree or you guys have a question in 10 or 15 years and we're available, you're more than welcome to pick up the phone and call us, and we'll help you any way we can.
Okay.
Yeah, and just kind of as a backup to that, they were our project managers, they were not the contractor.
I understand. I just want to make sure that we're protected. That's
Yeah.
a lot of money that was spent on that.
Right?
Yeah, you have a very well-written contract.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thanks for coming out. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the ratification of the 2024-2025 KCASA negotiated agreement.
Thank you, President Getz, Dr. Couch, school board members. Tonight, the purpose of this report is to bring forward the Kent County Admin and Supervisor Association and Kent County Board of Education negotiated agreement for school year 2024 and 2025 for ratification. Representatives from both sides met and agreed to a one-year agreement that starts with a restructured salary scale. With that said, the administration recommends the approval of the 2024-2025 agreement between the Kent County ASA and the Kent County Board of Education.
Okay, as Mr. Hushin mentioned, the administration is recommending the approval of the 2024-2025 agreement between the Kent County Administrator and Supervisor Association, known as KCASA, and the Kent County Board of Education. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ms. Sullivan has the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. McGee has the second. Are there any comments or questions? I'm not hearing any, so we'll go ahead and move forward with calling for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion passes as recommended. Thank you.
You're welcome, President Getz. And before we move on, I was just going to invite Dr. Keenup, who is the KCASA president, so we can sign this document.
Great, perfect.
Dr. Keenup, we're going to go right up.
Front and
Here to
center.
President Getz. President Getz, you can sign first. Dr. Couch, you can sign right after him. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Couch. Thank you.
Don't touch my stuff.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Keen.
Handshake, Dr. Keen, come on.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys, thank you.
All righty, thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the doozy, fiscal year 2025 superintendent's budget.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Getz, members of the board. I'll invite Ms. Stewart up. We're going to pretty much tag team this presentation. This is a reflection of what we've been working on for the last several months in terms of developing our proposed budget. Just to recap what we've done, we surveyed all of our supervisors and our administrative staff and our programs to say, what is it you would like to have in this year's budget? But we all know that, as it has always been the case for Kent County, is we never have enough to support everything that we would like to have. So then it becomes a matter of just looking at what we really have to have and what we will need moving forward. So the objectives that we had with this budget is to review the 2025 budget priorities. When you look at the budget priorities, they also include what we're required to do for the blueprint, and we'll talk about some of those things in a minute. To review the 2025 estimated revenues, to review what are our budget needs. That includes our wishes, our wants, and what we absolutely have to have. And then a review of the overall 2025 budget funding that we need to balance the 2025 budget, and then also to review capital improvement requests for 2025. The budget priorities that we had for this year's budget is obviously and foremost salary increases for our employees. That was kind of a given, and that was our number one priority. The next priority was to address the health insurance increase, which, as we told you at one of our last meetings, we're estimating it to be about an 8% increase next year. So that was monies that we had to account for. You also heard from Ms. Stewart that we were actually running in the red in our operational costs due to the increase in utilities, our buildings are getting older. We have a lot of maintenance projects that we have to accomplish, and so that required, and we utilized more money in maintenance this year than we have in years past. So we really, in order for us to develop a true budget, we needed to increase operational costs. Then the next thing we had to consider were the blueprint mandates. And so that was really the order of our budget priorities, and then everything else kind of had to fall in the mix. And when you add up all of those four things, that exceeded what we were planning on getting for next year's budget. So you can see it was a very tight and very concerning push and shove, I guess, for coming up with the budget. So I'm going to turn this over to Elisa and let her talk to you a little bit about the 2025 estimated revenues.
So as you will see here, good evening, President Guest, Dr. Couch, members of the board. As you will see here with the estimated revenues, the left side is the county share, the right side is the state share. This pretty much shows you what we received in �24 compared to what we're receiving in '25. As you would note in foundation, there's an increase on both the state and county side for funding in that area. As I believe back in when we were talking about the budget and projected revenues, we mentioned the college and career readiness. And as you can see here on the county side, it's down by about $22.5 thousand. And on the state side, it's down about $9,125 from last year. So this pretty much gives you a comparison. You can look down specifically of what the county is covering, what the state share is covering. This year, what is projected is that our local share is going to be greater than maintenance of effort, similar as it was last year, and this is the local share. So when you look at it overall, total county share revenues, there was an increase of about $246,969. That is also including the increase in concentration of poverty, as well as what we'll be receiving for transitional supplemental instruction. On the state side, there's an overall increase of $255,126. And that will bring us to the next slide.
Before you go to the next one, I think I would be remiss in not underscoring this concern moving forward, because this board and the next superintendent is going to have a very difficult time when we have to start showing that 75% of our monies are going out to the schools and going out to, not that we're not doing it, we are. But the problem is, because of the blueprint and because of all of these individual accounts now, instead of, we used to get this, like, this big pot of money, and we could allocate it however we saw fit. But now everything is placed in these small little categories, like you have college career readiness, you have compensatory education.
Line items.
Yeah, they're all line items. And so we have to keep our spending in those line items. So initially, the Accountability and Implementation Board said that we were going to have to demonstrate that 75-25 split for the FY25 school year. They gave us a reprieve and said, you know, do your best to get there. but the requirement is going to be that you get there in FY '26. And the problem that we have is that the foundation is typically where you get everything else that doesn't fall into these nice little categories. And as you can see, we're losing money in foundation. We lost $244,000 in the state share, and we lost $32,000 in the county share. So typically, this is where you would account for salary increases, you'd count for everything else that falls outside of all of these categories. And so in order for us to make up to make a balanced budget, we have to take from somewhere else. Well, in FY '26, we're not going to be able to do that. So my fear is, and it's not just our fear as Kent County, it's a fear for every school system in the state of Maryland. If we are going to be held to that standard of 75-25, then we're going to have to do some serious cutting in this budget in FY '26. It's not going to be pretty, because we'll have to keep everything within those categories, and we're not going to be able to like steal from one to move to another. So I underscore that because I don't want any of you to think, oh, well, we're out of the woods. We're not. We're going to be able to make it work for FY '25, but when the rubber meets the road, we'll be in FY '26, unless legislation changes to where the AIB and particularly the AIB understands that this whole idea of 75-25 sounds really good on in conceptual and maybe on paper to some degree, but to execute it and make it work, it doesn't work. Because, you have to, for instance, let me just give you a really good example, because this is what is going on in Cecil County in particular. They were trying to execute the 75-25, and what they noted was they had one school in particular. Now, all their schools are funded pretty much the same, with the same amount of teachers, same amount of staffing, and everything is working really well. But the problem is they have one school where they have a lot of teachers that are close to retirement, so they're high paid. So you may have these two similar middle schools that are pretty much of the same size, and you have this one middle school that has high paid teachers, not because the district is purposely putting better teachers at this school, but they're close to retirement, they've been at this school, they want to stay at that school, and so it jacks up, if you will, the allocation to that one school. And then you have another school where there may be a lot of turnover. It may be a school with high poverty, and they have a hard time keeping teachers, so you have a lot of first year to maybe 1 to 5 year teachers there. And so the allocation for that school is much less. So in order to make it even, what do? Do you move some of these teachers that maybe don't want to go to this school? Do you transfer them? Or do you say, okay, we're going to reduce allocation to this one middle school, increase allocation here. Now this school is going to have class sizes of 40 to 45 kids, and then this school over here with a different population is going to have it just doesn't work. It sounds fine and well when you think about it, but to apply it practically, it just doesn't work. So my fear is that AIB is not going to wake up soon enough before it's going to impact us. And because we're a small county, it's going to hurt us the most of any other county in the state. So I just want you to be mindful. I want you to keep your eye on the ball, because this is the beginning of I don't know what, but it's not going to be pretty unless something changes. And I know that, and I've got to give a lot of credit to Elisa. She's been like tearing her hair out, I'm sure, just trying to figure out how it's all going to work, because right now we can't see how it's going to work. And it's going to be very muddy, and it's going to be devastating, I think, unless something changes. The good news is we have that consultant that the AIB has allowed each school system to hire. And our consultant is LaShawn Johnson. And, Smith, excuse me, I don't know where I came up with Johnson, LaShawn Smith. And so she is going to be focusing, if AIB lets her continue to be our consultant, she's very much aware of this problem, and so what she can do is help us try to figure it out and then take this information back to the AIB and say, it doesn't work. And so that's the beauty of having these consultants, because they advocate for us on a different level. But I just want you to keep your eye on the ball, because it could be very messy. Okay, so I know that was really a fun thing to talk about, but anyways, I had to say something. The next slide I'll let Elisa talk about, and then I'll share a little bit about this as well.
All right, so this slide pretty much shows us what our overall increase in revenue is when you're looking at both county and state share, but I broke it out, the cost, the increase in revenue with concentration of poverty funds and TSI funds and without that, because still, even though COP and TSI is unrestricted revenues, it's still restricted to use. So we can't really include that in our overall revenue. So what we're looking at estimated is an overall increase of $201,473 to utilize.
Yeah, and so what I would note is, again, this is a restricted allocation. These allocations go directly to our schools. The 3 schools that are our concentration of poverty schools are Garnett, Rock Hall, and now next year we'll have Kent County Middle School as one of our concentration of poverty schools. Now, the good news about the concentration of poverty is we have the outreach, the family outreach liaison, the community outreach liaison, and you heard from them when they presented, Jerry Mitzel and also Flo Terrell. And I don't know who will be named for that position at Kent County Middle School, but they pay for that position that does a lot of outreach and scheduling of partnerships throughout the community. And then you also have the registered nurse that's paid for out of the concentration of poverty. So that does help us a little bit with paying for those costs through, because as you know, we contract with the health department. So that will help us. But on the flip side, the costs for the health department have been going up. And so it kind of helps us stay even.
I'm sort of going to use your Cecil County example of the 2 schools in similarity and kind of talk about how I'm hoping that we're finding a way to help Galena Elementary School, since our other 2 elementary schools are concentration of poverty, and so they're getting all these additional resources and funding, whereas Galena is not concentration of poverty, and so they're not getting a community outreach person, they're not getting the nurse paid for, and I'm hoping that we are finding a way to be equitable with.
Well, I don't know how you do
Galena.
that, Ms. Sullivan. I just don't know how you do that.
Okay.
I mean, we are being equitable. We staff our schools the same. We don't have one, I mean, we try to make sure that all of our schools are staffed with the same pupil-teacher ratio. So they're, it's not like we have really small ratios at Galena and Garnett and, at Rock Hall and Garnett, and then Galena has a huge class size. We don't do that. They have the same resources, they have the same RN, every school now has their own Judy Center. So I would say that they're very equitable, but I would also note that Mr. Porter has applied now for 2 years in a row, and we've been getting closer every year, applied for a federal grant to, initially it was going to be for Galena and Kent County Middle School to be community schools.
Okay.
And we actually got a higher rating, but we still didn't get the grant. So I'm sure he'll put in for it again, and then we're partnering with Cecil County so that we can strengthen that grant, and hopefully we'll be able to get kind of like a precursor to, we know Galena will qualify at some point, but it's probably going to be about 3 years before they qualify.
Okay, thank you.
So anyway, so these monies, although we get them into the school system, they don't help us with salaries per se. They don't help us with addressing our budget woes, if you will. It goes directly to the schools and it's used for a specific purpose.
What percentage of our budget would you attribute to salaries?
Well, I think we were close to 85%. It could be higher than that
I
now.
haven't looked at it recently, but
Yeah.
it was around about.
But I think that's the misnomer, is sometimes people think we have a lot of budget that we could just allocate in different places, but the majority of our budget is salaries
I mean,
and
I
benefits.
know that that's always been the case, but, so you answered my question of trying to quantify what a majority is.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. So the next slide just talks about where we landed with our 2025 budget needs. Right now, we have a placeholder for salary projections. What we're in the process of negotiations, so we can't share what that translates to in a percentage, but we have a placeholder for about $1,048,668 for salary projections. Then that includes benefits and salaries. We know that we're going to have an 8% health insurance increase. That's the cost, $302,351. And then, of course, an increase for pension. If you add those up, you can see just for salaries, we need $1,421,019. And if you'll recall, we're only getting $246,000. So, so we don't even have enough to cover our basic needs for meeting our salary projections. The other things that the board said to put into the budget, we know that we have to increase our CCR, which is our college and career ready. That pays for the dual credit, dual enrollment courses for our students. If you'll recall, going back to that one slide, we saw a decrease in CCR, but we still have to pay for the dual enrollment, so we know we're going to potentially need about $55,705, and that's a pretty accurate guesstimation, just simply from what we've seen the kids taking for this year. Now, we put in some guardrails, so kids can't just take any course that they wish. It has to fit into a path to get an associate's degree or something that makes sense. They can't just, I'm going to make something up, like basket weaving or something like that, It has to fit into a pathway. We also added a teacher for Rock Hall Elementary School to address the increased teacher ratio. They had a class this year that had about 33 students in it. So this would help bring that class down to a reasonable size like the other schools. In order to meet the increases for utilities, maintenance, and some of the other things that we had in the operational budget, we need an increase of $267,000. We need about $4,000 to hire someone for a very short period of time just to do the homeschool reviews, because we're required to do that. We added in a math teacher for the high school. Again, we talked about all of the needs, and they are the only department that really does not meet the same number of teachers that are in the other departments. So adding that would help bring down the class sizes for the math courses, and then limit the number of preps that the teachers have to prepare to teach multiple levels of math. And then we need an increase to address the CTE programs for our students. That comes up to another $512,000, $798. So the total budget needs of what we actually need for next year is close to $2 million, $1,933,817. Again, if you look at the estimated state revenue increase, We are projecting to use 800,000 of our fund balance, and again, what I would say is, we all know it's not a good practice to use our fund balance. Fund balance typically is to pay for one-time allocations, because fund balance is one-time money that we're using to support a recurring cost. Salaries are recurring. You're going to have to plan for that every single year. We have always, since I've been in this district, had to rely on some level of fund balance. So we're proposing to use 800,000 of that for FY '25. That will probably leave about $1.5 million or thereabouts. How much would we have left in fund balance if we used this? Maybe 2 million? $1.6 million. $1.6 million, okay. So that'll give you about
That doesn't count the 500,000, right?
No,
Okay.
no. So what that does is that puts you in a position to being able to do it again in FY '26. But we all know that then when the money's gone, the money's gone. And I think we've all heard the county say, where's your fund balance? So I think that is something that this board and the future superintendent is going to have to find out if that is really I get you, I'll get you 1 second. So, so by using the $800,000 in fund balance, this is the KCPS fund balance, it leaves us a remaining amount needed to balance our budget of $932,344. So that means that is the ask above, which we used to call maintenance of effort, which is the local education share now. That is what we need above what the county is required to give Kent County Public Schools. So we're going to go in, I am going to go in, represent our employees, advocate for our employees to get the monies that we need for salary increases and also to meet all of those budgetary needs. But what I would say is if we don't get the $932,000, this is not over. We're going to have to go back and we're going to have to cut $932,000 out of the budget, which is going to be brutal and it's going to be painful. So that's our ask, and we're required by statute to ask for what we need. That is what it says in statute. As boards of education and superintendents, we are required to ask the county for what we need to operate our school system. And this is what I believe we need to operate our school system. If we don't get it, then what we settle for in our negotiated agreements with our employees, if we say we negotiate I'll just make something up, say we negotiate a 5% increase and we don't get this money to make that, then we're going to have to go back and renegotiate a lesser amount and/or cut more positions. And review all of these things that we said we needed and figure out what can we do without. So that's kind of the reality of where we are with our budget 2025. And so, Mr. Rhodes, you said you had a question?
Yes. Is it, our contingency fund is 500,000, is that correct?
That it's not a contingency fund, it's in our, it's in our board policy that we keep $500,000 for, any unexpected budget.
Emergency fund.
Mhm.
And then I have it down here that we have $2,405,573 in unassigned fund. Those are a fund balance that we have right now, is that correct?
As of '23, yes.
That's for '23.
Okay, so you're saying that we should
We would use 800 of that.
800,000. Okay, so I just want, I don't want to be the devil's advocate here, but I've been looking over the county situation, and they have requests for $7,527,000. Of that, we're asking for $1,179,313. And I'm just curious, where they're going to have, they have all these things. They have benefits, capital, lease capital. One of the big things is transfers for the water and sewer. I mean, they're going to have some big cuts. So in my opinion, I don't think this contingency fund, I think we should use it. Okay, let me read a few things. First of all, I watched your speech at the county commissioners meeting. My takeaway, are we going to follow Kerwin or not? You were part of the Kerwin Commission. Kerwin this year says we need to contribute $246,969. Our additional request is $932,344 for a total of $1,179,313. Is that sort of correct?
Well,
And I'm just catching up on this because I voted for more monies, but in fact, the changes, in my opinion, if the county commissioners give extra monies, then our maintenance of effort will grow. Is that correct?
well,
Because every year, if you add money to it, then next year, we got to say that the maintenance of effort,
it's not called maintenance of effort
I
anymore.
know it's called
Local educational
final
effort.
minimum local appropriation. So that's another
Share.
question I have. The maintenance, how do they calculate this? The maintenance of effort is $18,966,562. The final minimum local appropriation is $19,901,526. So how does the government come up with a higher figure for the minimum local appropriation over the maintenance of effort?
Okay, so I am not the financial person for the state. I don't know what the calculation is directly. That is a question for MSDE. But what I will tell you that a lot of the local share is calculated based on what other counties give their school systems. So for instance, last year, Queen Anne's County gave their local school system $9 million above their local share or maintenance of effort. So they add in all of the school systems that have gained more money from their counties, and they calculate it in such a way, and then they figure out which counties are not providing the monies that the school systems need, and then that's where they come up with what they're required to give their school system.
Okay, so should there be a government audit on, all the money we have, because we have money coming in from grants and all these issues going on, and I just think it's not efficient and effective for the county to have unused funds, meaning in our school system. I don't want to use up all our money, but I think we should put some more money into the pot, because I know you want to save it for the next person here, but with Kerwin demanding more county funds, and if student enrollment falls, will we have a reduction in personnel? And then I think, should we have an audit for the bus department? I mean, if you suggested at the meeting that we might have to split up the school system someday, it could possibly happen, that we'd have to go, hold on, let me finish, we would have to probably split up and go with Queen Anne's County or Cecil County.
So that's not what I said.
No.
Well,
That's
okay,
not
hold
what
on
I
a second now.
That is not what I said,
Mrs.
Mr.
McGee,
Rhodes.
don't give me your little giggle, okay?
Listen,
I'm sick
that
and
is
tired of it.
not what I
I'm sick and tired
said.
of your giggle you give, okay? So look, Dr. Couch.
That is not what I said. What they said to me was,
You're giggling.
I'm not giggling,
Yes, you are,
Frank.
okay.
I'm not.
No, I was talking to
No,
her.
I'm saying school systems can't join with each other.
I understand, but the suggestion was made at the board meet, at that county commissioners meeting, that if we don't have the funds, someday we might have to consider splitting up our school system.
Right.
That did happen.
And that
Okay.
came from
every
our
year.
delegation.
Yeah.
That came from our delegation. I was repeating what was brought up by our delegation. Our delegation has brought up on multiple occasions that had we considered at some point in time, if the finances don't work for Kent County, merging with another school system. So I was just regurgitating
Okay,
that.
I agree with that, but I was wrong there. I will, under my watch, I would never want to see that happen.
Well-
We have to stay whole, but we are going to have to figure out, do we have too much expenditures up at the personnel at the top? I know you want to keep everyone, but maybe with Kerwin, we're going to be in problems, we got to save money.
Okay.
Where's it going to come from?
Well, we're,
That's the point, Mr. Rhodes. Where is it going to come from? Where is it going to come from?
Well, so is Mr., Porter back there, is the government going to give us money to fund the Kerwin? That's what I'm concerned about, because I've looked at the Kerwin. If everything goes as planned, we're going to have to come up with over $40 million in the next 8 or 10 years to fund this whole Kerwin plan.
I don't know where you
No,
come up.
hold on a second.
Where do you come up with $40 million?
I got the figures here somewhere. I don't know, they're in.
Because the reason why I ask you where you come up with 40 million, is because they have not even forecast. That was early,
I understand.
before.
I
We don't
understand.
even know what the forecast
So
is.
I'm all for giving teachers more. I think it's great, okay? Better salaries and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So they get a better salary, and then we're going to, the county commissioners are probably going to have to raise taxes. So their gross salaries are going to go up, but then the net's going to go down because taxes.
Okay.
But it's a
so-
revolving circle. This Kerwin is
So
a
let
big
me ask
mistake.
you a question, Mr. Rhodes. Why is it okay for our county employees to get a 6% increase this year, and our employees only got a 4% increase, and now they've got a placeholder for 6% for their employees to get a salary increase next year? So why is it that we always, as a
Well-
school system, have to take it in the shorts?
Well, maybe they have that as what they have to come up with $7,527,000.
Correct.
So maybe they can cut their salaries. I think we should put in more money. I think what they want, and let me read one other thing here. This is one example of the county allocations. The Bayside Hoyas are requesting $108,000. Chesapeake College is requesting $97,000. The Public Library, $84,000. Delmarva Community Service, $58,000. Volunteer Fire Companies, $58,000.
So let me ask you this,
I'm
are
just
you a
saying,
county commissioner? Are you a county
I
commissioner?
was going to ask the same thing. Are
You
you
can ask whatever you
representing-
want, okay?
Thank you, I will.
No, you're not. Be quiet.
Mr. Rhodes,
No, you
please.
quiet too. You're a lame duck, so don't tell me that. Dr. Couch, I want to say. I'm ready to go home. Come on.
No, let me just say this. We have a responsibility as a school system to ask for the dollars that we need for our employees and to run our school system.
Okay.
And that is what I'm asking for. If we don't get it, yes, we're going to have to come back and do what we have to do. But to sit here and try to go through the county's budget and try to figure out what they're going to do is not our
I'm trying to
role.
explain, they got to come up with a lot of money. and we're
So do
asking-
we.
So
So do
how are
we.
they going to give all that money to us when they have to give it to all, that's what I'm saying, you have all these other people that want money in the county. How are they going to come up with the extra money without raising our taxes substantially? And I will not see Kent County go broke over our taxes going up over this Kerwin plan.
Again, Mr. Rhodes, I think you have to be cognizant of what your role is as a Board of Education member. And what I would say to you is using more of our fund balance is fiscally irresponsible, because all you're doing is creating a huge, major cliff. Let's say we use it all this year. Let's just say.
I just say use it all.
I'm just saying, I'm just using that as an example. Let's use it all. Let's use $2 million. Let's put it in there and spend it all down. And then what happens in FY '26 when we don't have the $2 million and we've used it to support salary increases and new positions, and then in FY '26, we don't have the money, we have to continue to give our salary increases, where are we going to cut $2 million out of this budget?
We're not at FY '26, we're talking about '25 right now. okay?
So you
We're
don't
not
want to
there.
plan ahead?
I do want to plan ahead, but I think this is ineffective, keeping all this money here, and I'd like to find out, I want an audit.
This
of
is
where
how
it's
we've
come
been
from.
able to balance our budget. Every year that I believe that Dr. Couch has been superintendent, we have had to use a portion of our fund balance to balance our budget every year. And luckily, every year we've had enough. I mean, $800,000 that we have to add to our budget this year, that's $800,000 that the county doesn't have to come up with.
They don't have the money.
Well, we don't
Well, then
either.
thank
They
goodness
don't
we have
have the
it in
money, so
fund
where's
balance.
it going to come from? Just the government? Is the government going to help us out?
I don't know. There have been pieces of legislation that people are trying to pass through to make adjustments to the blueprint. We don't know what's going to happen. We can only focus on this year's budget and the needs that we have for this year.
Yeah, and I would like to add as the lame duck president, that we have a statute in place that we have to ask the county commissioners as to what we are requesting for the school system. At that point, as the county commissioners have done before, if they've come back and they said they are going to give us X, we then come back and we take a look at what's there. Now, if that requires cutting expenses from that sheet, or if it requires adding additional fund balance, that's the time for us to do it. I mean, tonight we're talking about another process, another step in this budget process. You know, and I will add that at the end of the day, we have to ask the county for what we need. This board had a conversation, multiple conversations, that this is what was agreed to for asking.
And then I would add to that, that this budgetary needs that we have, what the requests that we had were more than double than what we cut. So the county is going to be faced with the same thing that we were faced with. What are they going to cut? What's requested? What are they going to cut? And they're going to have to go through their checks and balances and see what they're going to allocate. So, you know, I take issue with you calling me a lame duck.
I didn't call you.
She
lame
called me-
duck. I
she
called
called me
you
that,
lame
yeah.
duck.
Oh, okay.
You already said you were a lame duck at one of our meetings anyhow.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You admitted to it.
Okay, thank you.
We're together.
Okay, thank you.
I ain't never seen such a
So anyways, here we go. All right, so budgetary needs for 2025. And then the last thing that I have is 2025 capital improvement funding request. This is the request that we are asking the county to move forward with the planning and design for Kent County Middle School. The state has already allocated and approved the $1,822,090 for planning and design, and our request to the county would be $1,748,910. One of the things that I will note about this is, you know, I know we've talked about Kent County Middle School, can we afford building a new middle school, can we not? But I would say that if we do not build a new middle school, you're going to have to, the county, someone's going to have to put in at least $20 million into that school to fix it, because we need a new roof, we need a new HVAC system. There are a lot of systems that are in failure in that school. It's not ADA accessible. There are lots of deficiencies in that school. This is a project that the state has identified as their #1 project. We've been told that by the IAC, that that Kent County Middle School is deficient enough that they would like to see this project move forward. And so this is my request. Whether we get it or not is not for me to decide, it's for me to ask. And that concludes my budget.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Couch, thank you, Ms. Stewart. Are there any other questions, comments? Okay, well, that was fun. Let's move on to board discussion, and that's section 7, so we'll start with Ms. Messick, please.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I just want to thank Dr. Couch again for recognizing me. I mean, being in Kent County has offered me so many opportunities that I don't think I would have gotten everywhere. And I know we have our shortcomings, and I know that it's hard, and I know that our test scores aren't good, and I know things like that. But this community is so strong, and this community has been so good to me. And I've been in the school system. I think Dr. Couch became superintendent when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade, and it has improved so much for me. I mean, I see changes every day, and I would not be where I am without this school system, and I would not have gotten a full ride without my teachers and the staff and everybody who works in our schools and everybody who's been such a role model to me. I wouldn't have been able to accomplish what I have accomplished, and I want to pay it back, and I want to do good to our community, and I hope that we continue to flourish, and I hope that we continue to grow, and it's so meaningful, so thank you so much. And then I have a little agenda. So for this week at the high school was Military Week and Minority Scholar Spirit Week, so I want to see everybody celebrating that at our high school. Tomorrow is the end of term 3 for all schools, and the high school has a PTSA meeting tomorrow night as well at 6 o'clock. Wednesday is a half-day early dismissal for staff professional development for all schools. Thursday and Friday, April 11th and 12th, 8th graders will tour the high school, and Galena will hold a family reading paint night on Thursday, April 11th. April 16th is Galena Picture Day. April 19th is the high school ASVAB test. April 19th is also Challenge Day for 9th graders at the high school. April 19th is also Spring Fling fundraiser at Rock Hall. Garnett will have camp-themed reading night on April 25th, and Monday, April 29th 9th to May 2nd is Mental Health Awareness Week at the high school. Friday, May 3rd is Class of 2024 First Friday celebration, which is crazy for me to say. Oh my gosh, it's happening. I'm graduating. That was weird when I wrote that. May 4th is Tune Fest as well at the high school. So I also want to remind everybody to go support our spring sports and our athletes. You can look for the schedules on the website and also like DigiSports. But I want to see everybody there. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Messick. Ms. Dorsey?
Yes, I just wanted to congratulate Maddie on your full scholarship to the University of Maryland. I also wanted to congratulate the high school, on the improvement in the rates and the test scores for the government and science. I wanted to also thank, I was thankful for the racism challenge, challenging racism training that I attended on March the 28th at Washington College. I feel like it's a great need for that in our county and for the King County Public Schools. I was thankful that board staff from the Board of Education had attended and other staff that, that's in the main school. I also was happy that everyone there was able to share their views and different perspectives, and people were able to learn things that they didn't recognize beforehand. We discussed stereotyping and different things like that, the things that we do to the different students just because maybe the color or what they may have on, and these different views from different people actually infect our children. It does not help them. So that was the second challenge, challenging racism. Is it racism challenge or challenging racism training that she had held? And I know that they're intending on holding some more, so I would hope that more staff will be able to attend so that we can be better. Because I think that if we better understand our children and we'll be able to supply them with what they truly need in order to be successful. Sometimes some groups of kids are left out, or we just have not done enough to try to include them and help them to be successful. And so I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Dorsey. Appreciate it. Ms. McGee?
I don't have anything to say.
Okay. Mr. Rhodes?
I wanted to say something about the certified nursing assistant, the pinning ceremony. It was a wonderful event, and young students at Kent County High School did a great job. I was really proud to see them. I just want to read something on the back. The Certified Nursing Assistant Pledge. As I enter into my place of calling, I ask for strength as I help those in needing. Hide my tears for the sick and aging, and let my smile be the hope they are seeking. Guide my hands as they do for them the things they cannot do. And we take for granted. Allow my eyes to see those things, that I make my stay with them a blessing. Provide the words I need to speak to let them know I love them so. As I do my work throughout the day, it is for my residents that I stay and for the residents that I pray. And Ms. Hemstetter, you did a nice job putting that together. It was a wonderful ceremony. So the other thing I want to say is about this retirement party for Dr. Couch. I just have a problem with it being the country club. And the reason I do, I think it should have been put in the high school. What were the organizers thinking of? I know Mr. DeVillio, I don't know who put this together, but is the country club a diverse reflection of the student body? That's what I want to know. I mean, who is going to be able to go there? The band is going to play, so how about if a family that doesn't have the money, has 4 kids, how are they going to pay $65 a plate? I mean, we have our own cooking staff at the high school, okay, and they're good. I don't know why we're not using them. And maybe, are they cooking out at the country club? I don't know. But I just think that you should think about that, that's all. That's all I want to say.
Ms. Sullivan?
I also wanted to congratulate and thank Principal Hemstetter and the staff at the high school for the increase in rankings and the test scores for government and science. Clearly, you guys are all working hard, and it's appreciated. I also heard from Jody Bortz, who's the high school band director, about their recent competition in Boston, and she said, "We're home, and I'm so proud of our Brigade of Blue. We brought home silver awards in marching, jazz, and concert band, and took first place in concert band. The show choir earned a bronze rating. Teo O'Brien earned a Maestro Award for his jazz solo. Aaron Saunders was awarded the top individual award of the night, the Ovation, based on his superior leadership, musicianship, and overall character. The group was also awarded the overall sweepstakes award for the group with the highest combined score in both vocal and instrumental categories." So I just want to congratulate our Brigade of Blue. Last month, I got to attend the SBE, the Society of Broadcast Engineers recognition event at Kent County High School, celebrating the 50 years of WKHS. Special guests included the SBE Executive Director Jim Ragsdale, regional members and former WKHS managers and alumni. All were excited to share their experiences in the broadcast world and how much the WKHS program helped them. There was a consistent theme of be curious and always be learning, which I think is something that not only our students can benefit from. I think that that's a good thing for us all to live by. The current WKHS students were in attendance and were engaged and very often included in the discussions. And as was mentioned, I'm looking forward to the Tune Fest on May 4th. I wanted to also thank River Arts for their student art exhibition that's happening now until April 20th, I believe. The gallery was packed with families on Friday with the opening reception. And I also attended the Alice in Wonderland production at the middle school, and it was fantastic. The legislative session has come to an end, and while I think it's disappointing that the school construction bill didn't pass, I want to thank Dr. Couch, Dr. Lever, and all of the staff who provided testimony in support of the bill. And I also wanted to give a shout out to SOS, who took the initiative to get the community involved with a letter writing campaign to show support for the school construction legislation. They received 250 emails, 182 letters, and 76 postcards that were sent to members of the House and Senate Appropriations and Budget and Taxation Committees. So I hope that Annapolis can see how important this is to us, and that we are not done talking about our new middle school. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Just a couple comments. I want to again thank the high school for the winter scores. I know we're not going to do backflips yet, but at least we'll do some kind of cheering and really just a congratulations to the staff there at the high school, as well as all through the system that support that movement. Also want to mention the resource fair that was held at Kent County High School. Ms. Tussing from the middle school, as well as Dr. Keene and team, brought together all of the organizations that support our students and families from across the county. I know this was started during COVID. It was kind of amazing to see 50-plus people on a Zoom call when it first started, and to see it kind of expand in that space. I know we were kind of hampered by the weather, flooding and all that fun stuff with rain that we had coming in, but it was really great to see that resource fair. We did have families that came through. They were asking some really great questions, and I know that Ms. Tussing was actually walking around with bags and information for folks that she knew that couldn't make it because of the weather, and if I'm correct, she delivered those personally. So just a huge recognition and shout out and thank you for having all of the county resources come together and not just be there for our students and families, but also amongst each other to really understand how they can also help each other. So really cool there. Kent County Middle School, the Alice in Wonderland play, I was not expecting that version of it. So I will tell you, they did a great job. It was kind of more modernized, where they mentioned Google and other stuff. But I think the students were fantastic. The hard work put in with the students, I know it all came together. And just having everyone involved, it was great. It was a great environment, and just really excited to see, that happen at the middle school. And just a shout out to the middle school administration as well as staff and everyone that put that together, so that was great. Finally, I just want to thank Ms. Messick again. for your success and where you are headed. It's very real. So I know that, obviously with everything else, as you were writing the agenda and comments with Senior First Friday and everything else going on, just enjoy it. It's going to go quickly, actually very fast, once you get through that space. But congratulations, that's hard work. And congratulations to all of our seniors, that are moving in that space and where they want to be, whether it's, college, university, whether it's military, public service in some other way, or even into the workforce. Just a huge congratulations. And I'm not trying to accelerate the process, but I'm looking forward to graduation because it's probably one of the coolest things that a board member can do, and be in attendance there when you guys move into that next phase of your life. So congratulations on that. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you, everyone. We are going to move into...
Joe,
yes,
Mr. Getz, can I ask
please.
you a question? Since you're our go-to guy, aren't we coming up on some meetings for superintendent? Don't we have some stuff?
It'll be at the end.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, I got you.
Yeah.
All righty.
Okay, so we're going to move into education services, and I see that we have 8A is AAEEBB presentation. So we can move into that space.
So as they're coming up, I just wanted to note that the high school asked to provide us with a presentation on what they've been doing with the AAEEBB program.
Cool.
Those of you that may not remember, a couple of years ago, we had an opportunity, along with 3 other counties, to participate in this program that had funding attached to it, and it was an opportunity to develop a program to address some of the needs of our African-American boys and get them to excel in certain areas. And so we were fortunate enough to have Courtney Miller to help us with the program. And so thank you for that, and we look forward to your presentation.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Couch.
Good evening.
My name is Jonathan Somerville,
My name is Jamarcus Downs.
and sorry for Nasser not being here. We were presenting Young Men Standing on Business.
All right, so as many of you have probably heard, AAEEBB stands for Achieving Academic Equity and Excellence for Black Boys. It was an initiative that MSD created to focus on 3 key areas: social, emotional, and behavioral supports, recruiting and training skilled, competent teachers and administrators, and curricula and instruction. So for the initial pilot program, Kent County High School, as well as Kent County Middle School, focused on coordinating a structured mentoring program that tailored to meet the social emotional learning needs for identified Black boys in grades K through 12. We actually did not have this program at our elementary schools, but our high school boys participated in a mentoring program at one of our elementary schools. The goal of this mentoring program was to reduce the number of Black boys requiring disciplinary action. And how we did this was we provided a structured mentoring program during the school day and in the community. And the outcome that we've been able to achieve has been increased engagement in the learning environment for Black boys participating in the program compared to those participating Black boys, and we plan non-participating Black boys, and you'll see later in the presentation just the specifics of that.
So KCHS has 54 young Black males enrolled in the program, 18 freshmen, 13 sophomores, 12 juniors, and 11 seniors. We have 1 program manager, that being Mrs. Tylese Brown, who is Kent County High School's guidance secretary, 3 program advisors, myself, our school social worker, Mrs. Courtney Miller, and Mr. Aaron Pretlow, who's also our assistant principal at the high school. We have 3 very, very important community mentors for the program, that being Mr. Paul Tu, who is in the audience, Mr. Harold Somerville, and Mr. Antoine Reed, who is not here with us tonight. We've also been able to make several community partnerships, 7 I think that are pretty consistent that we've been able to utilize over the last few years of initiating the program.
Since the inception of the program, KCHS has been able to improve attendance, including tardiness, increased involvement in extracurricular and community activities. We've improved GPAs, increased overall amount of course completion, post-secondary planning, and increased willingness to engage in mental health supports. We've decreased out-of-school suspensions, in-school suspensions, class disruptions, and disciplinary involvement requiring referral to administration.
Our support and guidance among local mentors, mental health check-ins every week of the month, community involvement opportunities, social and emotional workshop activities, and bi-weekly group sessions.
As well as accountability and belonging with members dressed for successful workshops, participating in AAEEBB convocations, being eligible for incentive trips, identifying group leaders as well.
We've been able to provide summer group activities to keep our boys bonding and learning, and that includes one of our community partnerships with Rock Hall Charters. We got to take the boys fishing.
In February 2023, we took 30 of our participating mentees to visit Howard University. In February 2024, we were able to expand our HBCU exposure to 3 days in Raleigh, North Carolina. Students visit North Carolina Central University, Shaw University, and St. Augustine University. On both occasions, our young men learned about campus activities, fraternities, athletics, and academics. Our goal for February 2023 is to travel to Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, visiting 4 HBCUs along Virginia, Tennessee, and Mississippi.
Also, some of the community involvements we have participated in was mentoring Galena Elementary 4th grader students, participating in Rock Hall Elementary Black History Month program, MLK Day panel discussion, feeding the elderly at Menary's Dream Alliance, voting registration at Drive at Menary Dream Alliance, community Thanksgiving drive dinner, and held a fundraiser for a local student diagnosed with cancer.
We have a shared responsibility to continue the AAEEBB program for students, staff, school, and community. We thank you for your time, and we'll take any questions you have.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Just thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Yeah, I've got a question. The, I think it was Ms. Miller mentioned the total number of students, and you broke it down by class, or maybe it was LaToya. What percentage of black males in the high school does that represent, if you know?
So I don't know that specifically, but I will tell you that, I don't know if Ms. Hemstetter, if you have that, but it's a large portion of the black boys in each grade. I don't know if you want to go back to it.
No,
but
no, that's okay. It sounded like a big number. So,
yeah,
yeah.
I think we are trying to increase the involvement. So if you'd notice, you see a little bit more of our upperclassmen involvement in it. So we just kind of want to keep that going and getting our 9th and 10th graders to also participate. And something else is also at the middle school, so they're coming into the high school already having an idea of what the program does.
So it says in here that the funding was not renewed.
That's correct.
So exploring other avenues of either trying to fundraise or being able to do these sorts of things in a way that doesn't cost money?
That's correct, and that's kind of why we have the shared responsibility slide, right? Like just trying to figure out, just be creative in ways that we utilize our school system, our community partnerships, school level, everybody involved to keep this program afloat.
Okay, thanks.
I just had a question regarding when you look at 18 freshmen, 13 sophomores, 12 juniors, 11 seniors, back to that number. do the boys like track all the way through? Like, is there a lot of turnover, or it feels like the group has been adding folks, right? So that's really cool to see, but how is it tracking, like?
So no turnover. We've not had any boy leave our program.
That's great.
If anything, we've added. We've had 2 of our young men transfer school systems. So those were our upperclassmen. Those numbers dropped a little bit, but no turnover. If anything, they encourage the younger classmen to join.
Yeah, that's cool. I was just curious as to tracking, like, how that kind of went through. And just a shout out and thank you, to obviously the program coordinator, advisors, 3 community members, 2 of which are here tonight. Thank you. And just the community partnerships. That's pretty cool, to see that involvement and to see the numbers continue. That's great.
I'd like to say one thing. I've been involved in a little bit of mentoring at the school, and I really enjoy the kids are working. And one thing I've learned is we have these checks, and we do affirmations and all kinds of things. There's about 25 kids. And, one thing we worked on about a month ago was when you make a mistake, you apologize. So Mr. Getz and Mrs. McGee, I want to apologize to you in a public meeting that, I was wrong, okay? But I want these kids to know that they have a lot of support out there, okay? They have a lot of support, and a lot of these kids are doing much better. They are doing so much better. It's great. Let's keep it going.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say also that, because I used to mentor and be a part of the group that was with Kent County Middle School, and we traveled and went on trips and different things. This year I was not able to do it with all this, but it touched my heart, when you got up there and you was explaining and they were all apart, and how the improvements have come about as a result of your time and effort and everything that everyone has put into it. I just thank you for that. It touched my heart.
Thank you. This program means a lot to us.
Also, I just want to ask, I think I asked this last year too, is there, I don't know if anything exists on this level for girls, but don't forget black girls.
Not on this level for girls, but we are working on
Okay.
something.
Well,
And Ms. Miller has.
I've run, for 3 years, I run a girls empowerment group.
Okay.
With 18 girls.
Does
So-
GLOW still exist, Mr. Two? Does GLOW? Okay, I was just thinking that there are opportunities.
And our girls let us know that there's nothing like this for them.
Okay, I just want to say, don't forget them. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Ms.
and I
Please.
was just going to note that this program was actually started by one of the minority school board members at the state level. So one of the state school board members really was a former educator, and she was so focused on the needs of our black boys around the state that she convinced the superintendent at the time to allocate money for the program. And there were only a few school systems that took advantage of it, and we were one of those school systems.
We were one of 13 schools, not district schools.
Schools.
Yeah.
Ms. Hempstead, I see you.
Well, I just wanted to answer the question that was said, we have 24% of our students that are African American at the high school. Out of those 24%, that's about 125 students, and 40% are African American, or population is a part of it.
Wow.
Nice, okay.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say that this program has been so awesome to see, and I've noticed a lot of changes, and the black community in Kent County is such a pillar, and it's so important, and it really does begin in school, and I think it's really awesome that we have this, and I'm so proud of it. You guys are awesome.
Great. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming out
Thank you
tonight.
very much.
Really appreciate it. Okay, we are going to, oh, here comes Ms. Stewart. She knows. We're going to move into the administrative services, and the first item up is the expenditures revenue report. Ms. Stewart.
Right, good evening, President Getz, Dr. Couch, members of the board.
Good evening.
Tonight, we're going to go over revenues and expenditures as of March 31st, 2024. We have here for our Fund 1 current expense, with our county appropriation, our unrestricted state, our restricted state and federal grants, state funds, and other receipts at about 29 million. Fund 3, which is our school construction, that's about 932,000. Fund 5, which is our food service, that's about $1 million that we have received to date. The school receipts is from the cafeteria, but other receipts are the funding sources that we receive, the federal funds for functioning food service as far as our breakfast program and lunch. So that's why that's lumped in other receipts. And then our Fund 7, which is the trust and agency fund, which is zero, to bring us to cash receipts as of March 31st of about $31 million. We move to our current expense fund. We've expended about 80% in this funding source. We go to our school construction to date concerning finishing up. We finished with our, KCHS roof project, and between the KCMS feasibility study, about $1.1 million. And then we go to our food service. We've expended about 92%. Please note with food service, we do have a fund balance that I know we've purchased the forklift. We're about to work on. We had an issue with, I believe our dishwasher at the high school has broken down. So this also is combined with, we have the fund balance that we have to eat away at. So we're able to provide the needs for our food service area. Then we have our restricted funds. This is based on what our restricted funding is of now. It's about 59%, but with restricted funds, it's based on we have to expend it first and then we get reimbursed for that funding. And then the last page gives you an overall review between our receipts and our expenditures. Any questions?
Are there any questions for the expenditures revenue report? All right, Ms. Stewart, thank you for the thorough breakdown of all of that information with pictures. Okay, we're going to move into the next section of the agenda, grass cutting bid approval.
Good evening, Dr. Couch, President Getz, members of the board.
Good evening.
I've got two bids here tonight for your approval. The first one before you is the grass cutting services bid. We bid this out about 5 years ago, so that first 5 years that expired, so we put it back out. We changed it a little bit last time. We just did the 5 schools. We had a separate contract for the board office and for the bus depot or Ward Elementary School. We've combined that all into one now. And then we also added mulching, we added debris pickup, we added herbicide spraying, all within the bid. So that way we don't have a bunch of different contracts, essentially. So we had 9 responsive bidders. As Dr. Couch knows, a couple of them I don't think quite understood to break it down per mo, but we had 9 total bid, and the lowest responsive bidder was 410 Lawn and Land, who is right from Wharton, Maryland. So they are a local company, and so that is who we are recommending for approval for this bid.
I'm sorry, I might have missed it. Were they the low bidder?
They were.
Okay.
Yep.
Have we done business with them before?
We have had some side business with them before.
Okay.
They haven't done any of our mowing, but they've done some mulching work. They've done some debris pickup in the past for us.
Weren't we sharing some responsibility with the county?
Parks and Rec or something? No.
They do the,
Fields?
They do the
practice
fields,
Okay.
correct, yep.
Okay.
Yep, so that's separate from this.
Really, that's their,
Yep.
those are their fields.
Are these folks going to be in charge of raking the leaves at the high school?
Correct. Yep,
They haven't been doing that for years. I mean, it never is done.
Yep, that's all encompassed into one contract now.
Okay. Are there any other questions regarding the grass cutting bid approval? Okay, the administration is recommending the bid to be awarded to 410 Lawn and Land LLC for an additional 1-year contract term of $1,725 per mowing. After the initial term, the contract may be renewed for 5 additional 1-year periods. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ms. Sullivan has the motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Rhodes. Any further comments or questions?
Do you have an estimate of how often they're going to mow, if it's $17.25 per mowing?
So we essentially put in the specs for as many mows as possible, so that way we kind of guard ourselves. It should be less. This would be 26 mows is what we estimate if we mow weekly from April all the way through October. We typically don't mow that much, but we just wanted it out there so that way we were at the absolute maximum we would have for the year. Like I said, it should come in less than that, because typically, obviously, between weather and, sometimes it's every 10 days, 14 days, depending on weather patterns and everything. But I will say, the contract that just ended was right about a little over $2,000 per mow, so we're saving about $275 a mow, and that also doesn't include the other mulching that we were doing outside of the contract. So
that's great.
I think we're going to save anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 a year in terms of these services, essentially.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, we had one comment. If there are no other comments or questions, I would like to move forward with the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Kirby. The next item on the agenda is the audit bid approval.
All right, so our second bid approval is for the audit, our annual audit that is done for the school system. It is a 5-year contract. We had only one responsive proposal this time, so that is who we are recommending approval. This is the same firm that has been doing our audits for the last 5 years as well, so we're very familiar with them, have a good relationship with this firm. So we are recommending them to be awarded the contract for the next 5 years.
Okay, the administration is recommending the bid to be awarded to UHY LLP in the amount of $214,972 over the next 5 years. Do we have a motion to approve?
Did you say this was the only bid that came in?
This was the only one for this one that came in.
Were you surprised by that?
A little bit. This, typically we have it out a little bit longer than this one was. We were kind of on a bit of a time crunch to get this one bid and get proposals in. Like I said, typically we try to have about 4 to 5 weeks. This one had about 3.5 weeks or so from posting to bid opening and bid approval. So we think maybe just the timing, the short time frame could be part of it. Last time we bid it out, I think we had 3 responsive bidders. So I think the bigger issue is there's not many firms on the Eastern Shore that are around that do this type of auditing, essentially. This firm's from, their main office is down in Salisbury. So, like I said, so in the past, like I said, I think just location is probably the biggest issue in terms of this specific contract.
How does this, their bid compare to their bids of the past?
So I think their one 5 years ago was for about a little over $200,000 for 5 years, so it's
Okay.
about a $15,000 increase for the next 5 years, essentially. So it's fairly small, and actually smaller than we were kind of anticipating it being, to be honest, so.
Okay.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ms. Sullivan has the motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. McGee has the second. Any additional comments or questions?
Yes, you said how much is this going to cost a year? Is this the 200, what was the price?
Over 5 years.
Over 5
$240,000
years.
over 5 years,
How
correct.
much?
So it breaks down to, they have a small incremental increase year over year. So the first year, I want to say, was 39,000 and some change, and then it goes to 41.
It was less than 2%.
Yeah,
It was?
yep.
And no one else applied for the, no one else?
Right.
applied
Not for this one.
But these, this particular firm has a number of school systems on the shore that they're doing audits for, so they're very competent.
Okay, we have the motion, we have a second. Any additional comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion passes. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Mr. Kirby, appreciate it. Okay, we're going to move on to the College and Career Fair donation. Ms. Stewart.
All right. So tonight, administration is requesting board approval for 2 donations that were received for the College and Career Fair that was held at Kent County High School. The first donation was received, one of the donations was received from Hogan Insurance Real Estate in the amount of $250, and the second one was received from Jamestown in the amount of $250. So the donations will be used to cover expenses that were related to the materials and food that was purchased for the vendors who assisted in executing the College and Career Fair at the high school. So this is the action item, and administration is requesting approval of these donations.
Okay, as Ms. Stewart mentioned, the administration is requesting approval of these two donations received from Hogan Insurance Real Estate in Jamestown in the amount of $250 each. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Rhodes has the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sullivan. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing silence, we will go ahead and move forward with the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Stewart. We are going to move over to No Kid Hungry Grant.
All right, so this grant we received, and this is the fiscal year 2024 No Kid Hungry Grant. It is a restricted grant. The purpose of bringing this to the board is for approval. And the fiscal year 2024 No Kid Hungry Grant is a restricted grant awarded by No Kid Hungry Maryland. The award amount for this grant is $28,450. The purpose of the grant is to provide funding for summer meal programming operations. So KCPS is planning to use these funds to hire a part-time food service driver, as well as rent a refrigerated box truck for enhancing community off-site meal deliveries while expanding off-site locations. This grant will be used during the summer months from June 17th through August 9th, 2024. And I just want to add about the part-time food service truck. Right now, the person that does it, we assist, I know, in the summer with Parks and Rec Horizons, and we are preparing to do a survey because we can do some community off-sites to assist the community as well. So this would help with making sure those deliveries, as you know, we are pretty rural here, making sure those deliveries are made on time and efficient for our kids. And so administration is requesting board approval of this grant.
Do our schools still participate in the summer in is it a federal program where
The
they
21st century.
offer meals?
Pardon,
Is this in
sorry.
addition, that's okay. Is this in addition to, is it a federal program that some of our schools participate in the summertime to provide meals for students?
I don't know. I
No,
don't think
this
so.
is essentially, over the summer, we provide the meals, like I said, with Parks and Rec and Horizon, and then the off-site community. And then we also provide meals for like summer school. So it's just the federal funds to assist with those costs pertaining to that.
Is the aim to expand the number of students who we're able to get food to?
Concerning the off-site meals,
Yeah.
I think that's partially what it is. I don't know 100% because
was just
I
thinking
want to say
similar
even
to what Ms.
adults
Sullivan
too.
said. For some reason, I had in my mind, I'm familiar with Horizons, but I was thinking that
There's a meals
they had to come
program.
to the school
Yeah.
to pick it up.
That, I know we did
We
in
used to have to do that,
COVID.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but that was, I know when
Okay,
COVID shut
gotcha.
down. But I can reach out to our support food service supervisors to get.
Do we already
more
have an
sound with that.
existing off-site delivery service, or will this be the first?
This will be the first where we'll have the part-time because
Okay.
of the grant.
Right.
We do have our own food service truck driver that does all of that.
Okay.
Dontrell Lively does that for us. He's been doing that since he's been hired. So sometimes it can be a
Do
lot.
they use a school
So-
bus? What do they
well,
use?
so-
No.
So I'm somewhat familiar with this grant because we got it consistently in my last district in New Mexico. And so what this grant does is it allows the school system to expand what is already in place. So you look at what we've already done and what we're doing in the summer to provide meals. This is an opportunity to if it's, it looks like it's the very same grant. It's an opportunity to set up sites, like maybe you might have a site at Wharton Park or something, and then kids could come and pick up meals at that location.
Okay.
So it's another way to expand and get meals to kids that need them.
Is this
So-
sort of like COVID, when they would bring the meals around on the
It's
buses?
somewhat like that.
That was, yeah, I remember all that.
Okay, the administration is requesting board approval for the fiscal year 2024 No Kid Hungry Grant. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ms.
I'll
Sullivan?
second it.
We have you guys are fast. Motion by Ms. Sullivan, second by Ms. Dorsey. Any additional comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to the Kent County Public Schools bank accounts updates.
All right, so this is concerning two of our bank accounts at Kent County Public Schools. And the purpose of this bringing forth tonight is to request board approval to update the signers on two of our KCPS bank accounts. Before I get started, I want to give a shout out to our accountant, Chriselle Copper, who handles all of our back-end daily financial processes and has been keeping everything up to date. These are the two outstanding bank accounts that we need to keep up to date. The first one is our PNC Bank Premium Business Money Market account, and the amount that is currently in this account is $3,053.10. I believe this is the one, if you look in our audited financial statements, is part of the Smith estate, and I believe the regulation for this, we could only expend the funds on the interest and not the principal. However, we are being charged a $3 fee for paper statements and only receiving interest of about 3 cents. So updating the signers on this account will allow us to have the fee removed so that there's no fee for the paper, and then the interest can just keep accruing solely on the account. The second bank account that will need to be updated is our Truist Business Money Market account. Currently, the balance in that is $62,369.16. Updating the signers in this account will allow us to look at other ways to utilize these funds for investment opportunities to increase revenue and utilize these funds district-wide. And so noted here are the signers that will be put on this account, which would be Dr. Karen M. Couch, our superintendent, myself as a supervisor of finance, and Chriselle Copper as the accountant. So this will also provide, if there's turnover or changes where someone is in the finance department that can assist with these changes and update the signers on the account. So administration is requesting board
Who were the
approval for this.
signers prior?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I can get that information to you, but there were signers from like years ago.
So,
One of
I
them
mean,
was
this
Susan
should've-
Martinez.
Probably should have been done a while
Yeah.
ago. I got you. Okay.
Can you explain again the first account, we're only supposed to spend the interest? Is that?
It's kind of it was an allocation that was made to the school system, and we can only use it for a specific purpose, but that purpose is unclear.
Yeah, I can't-
So we can't really spend it, so it's there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. All I know is that only the interest can be spent. You can't touch the principal, so.
It was like, it was a.
3 cents?
Well, no, it was like an allocation that was provided after someone's death, or like,
Yeah.
and it was supposed to be used for certain things, and it's like, it's very narrow in scope, and so we really can't spend it, but we can't. I know I talked with Mr. Consis about it, and it was a really weird, remember this? Vaguely, you must remember this. Yeah. Yeah, and we could
Oh,
only.
Mrs. Huntington? Was it Mrs. Huntington?
No. And it was only supposed to be used for certain, I don't know, but we can't.
The Smith
We haven't been
estate.
able to use
We
it?
haven't been able to use it,
Okay.
but we can't,
But we have to
because
spend
of
$3 a month on it.
because of the will, we can't spend it.
Gotcha,
and
okay.
all we can.
And we'll have to go back to
Spend the
look
interest.
of the 3,000, what actually matriculated in interest, but that is probably going to be.
Interesting.
Anyways, it's not a lot of money.
Yes.
Okay. The administration is requesting board approval to update the signers on the stated bank accounts with the above-mentioned personnel. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ms. Sullivan has the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Rhodes. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing no comments or questions, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to the HAGES Garnett Elementary School chairlift.
As you may recall, one of the budget requests was a chairlift for a disabled student at Henry Highland Garnett Elementary School, and the board directed me to request out of the non-recurring cost allocation, which school systems are encouraged to do, and ask their counties for those monies. What that means is when you request this allocation, it is not charged to their MOE. It's a non-recurring cost allocation. It's a very narrow in scope in which you can request support and funding. And I think we've only requested it once since I've been here, whereas probably other counties request it every single year. So Ms. Stewart and I presented to the county and asked for an award of $74,248 to purchase this. It was denied by the county, and the county commissioners unanimously directed KCPS to use our own fund balance to purchase the chairlift. So I know that, so in order for us to move forward and order this equipment and get it in place for the student in the fall, we have to act on this quickly. I know that we are exploring perhaps being able to charge it to another grant, or another line item, but at this point, we haven't resolved that yet, and I need to get approval from the board to move forward so that we can order this equipment. I can let Mr. Bish know that we can get in contact with the company so that we can get this in place for school.
My feeling is that we need to approve this and order the chairlift, but I'm disappointed that we weren't able, since we hardly ever ask for these one-time allocations from the county, that they didn't see fit to grant it, but that is just my opinion.
I want to say one thing to this young lady there in the wheelchair. We've had a group, and we've met, and this is a very important thing for Garnett. There's no doubt about it. They're going to need it. We have other students that have issues, they'll have that chairlift, and I think it's a great addition to that school.
Okay, the administration is requesting board approval to reallocate FY24 fund balance to purchase the chairlift for Henry Highland Garnett Elementary School. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Rhodes has the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Sullivan has the second. Any further comments or questions? Hearing no comments or questions, we will go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion passes, and we will now move on to public participation. Ms. Gale, do we have a participant?
No.
We do not. Okay. So bear with me on the notification of our next meetings. The next meeting of the Board of Education of Kent County will be an administrative function session only for the purpose of reviewing applications submitted as part of the superintendent search process. The administrative function meeting will be held on April 15th, 2024, beginning at 5:30 p.m. at the administrative building. Following that meeting, there are 2 dates set aside for the superintendent search first round of interviews on April 26th and April 27th, 2024. Time to be determined, and these are administrative function sessions only. There will be a budget meeting on April 29th, 2024, beginning at 5:30 p.m. This meeting, will be an open session. The Board of Education of Kent County will be conducting second-round interviews of the superintendent search as needed on May 3rd, 4th, and 6th of 2024. Time to be determined. The next monthly meeting of the Board of Education of Kent County will be held on Monday, May 13th, 2024, beginning at 5:30 p.m. Open session will be immediately followed by the board members going into closed session. The open session will resume at 6:30 p.m. The meeting will be located at the administrative building in the boardroom, this room, at 5608 Boundary Avenue, Rock Hall, Maryland, 21661.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Couch is, and I guess us to go with her, it's April 30th to present the budget. So the day before, we'll meet to, what, knock off $900,000? Is that what?
No. That's the budget hearing. We present it and get input from the community on the budget.
Okay, I got you. So on to the superintendent search for a minute. I was looking at one of the, and it might have been the draft, I don't know, because we had a couple of timeframes go out. I thought I just read today, I was talking to Ms. Sullivan, April 11th, can we come into the board and review?
Preview the applications?
Read
Yeah.
the applications?
So we're going to be, those applications and that information will be coming out to you directly,
They'll be bringing them to you
so that you can preview the
before the
information
15th.
before the 15th.
Well, how are they going to get to me?
They're going to deliver them to your house. I don't know how, but they're
Okay.
going to.
Okay, well, I did see a Federal Express truck today, but today's the deadline for the applications,
Right.
right? So I don't,
Right.
okay.
So
what was
my-
the April 11th thing?
Well, April 11th is when Mr. Middleton said that they would get the
Oh,
application.
I thought we were going to have to come into the office and
No.
read them, because I
And read
didn't
them
think
here.
we were going to be able to actually
Yeah, you're
have them.
physically going to have
Oh, okay,
them.
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Okay,
And
no,
is 5:30 early enough on the 15th? Will we have enough time?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I mean, you know,
That
we're,
was definitive.
we've got, 3 hours in,
Okay.
and so, we started at 5:30, we can certainly, knock it out, and I would rather err on the side of starting at 5:30, and then if we have to go longer,
Later,
we
go
will,
on.
and then if
Okay.
we have to schedule some other time, we would,
And
Look at
just to note, you all will meet in my office. I will be not
Out.
here.
Skedaddled.
I will be
Gotcha.
out.
okay.
I will be out of the picture.
One other thing to the list of all these meetings, we're supposed to have a CAC meeting on April 22nd. We did not have a March meeting because it was right on the heels of the very late February meeting, and no one really had anything they wanted to talk about, so.
okay, great. Okay, we will, please.
We're supposed to have a CAC meeting on April 22nd.
Again,
Which meeting are you
the
talking about?
CAC.
You can't, oh, yeah, you can come. It's 5:30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I won't come. Sorry to me.
No, I forgot you were my sidekick, okay.
5:30.
What I wanted to ask is, when will we find out about the 26th and the 27th, the time of these meetings?
So we'll have to discuss that next week.
Next week,
Yep.
on the 15th, you
On the
guys will
15th.
make that decision.
Okay. In the morning, the 27th.
I don't think there'll be morning meetings.
Okay.
I imagine.
So the last item on the agenda is to adjourn. The administration is recommending approval to adjourn this meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Ms. Sullivan has the motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Ms. McGee has a second. Any further comments or questions? In the absence of hearing any comments or questions, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ms. Messick?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned. The official time is 8:35. Thank you, everyone.